channel. We got a special guest today, Mr. Errol Spence Sr., father of the world champ, pound for pound, #1 fighter in the world in my book. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Fernand. Big up, man. Much respect, brother. Long time listener, man. Much respect.
Man, I'm glad, man. It's definitely nice. It's definitely nice hooking up with you, man. And you hosted me nicely out there in Dallas, man. And thank you so much for having me down there. Look, man, I want to get to the point, man. I want to ask you some things, in this interview. I'm going to ask you some things about about the past, bringing up a championship boxer. What some of your thoughts are on what's going on now, in the present, in the career for your son and you as a key member to the team, and also, how you see things going in the future. So, my first question is, man, I know you are, a business owner, former business owner. You and your wife did well, and you had you have some kids, you got a son. That doesn't sound like your typical boxing, up from the gutters type of, road to boxing that you hear so often. What got you and your son into boxing?
Growing up, I was a big fan of boxing. I have 6 brothers. I make 7, 2 sisters, so there's 9 of us in the family. My brother and I, we were big boxing fans growing up. I grew up in Jamaica. I remember listening to Ali, I think it was Ali Fraser back in 71 on a little transistor radio. It was like 50, maybe 100 people gathered around that little radio, man. And so I was always a big boxing fan. We knew all the Olympians, we knew everything, but, we kind of fell off, back in the, I think it was like the 80s, late 80s. Yeah, we stopped watching boxing because, the decisions was like crazy. So everybody just fell off. One day I was sitting in the house and I saw my son. He was out in the street and he was shadow boxing. He was flat boxing with one of his friends. So when he got in the house, I asked his friend. I was like, "Can EJ fight?" And he said, "I guess you don't know your son." And I was like, so right away I'm like, I guess he's fighting. I guess he's good. So right away, a thought popped in my head. He walked in the house. I was like, "You want to learn how to box?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "All right, take you to the gym tomorrow." And that's how we got started.
All right, man. So when he started boxing, man, I heard he used to fight in like Mexican gyms. Is that what? And did you, how long was it before you guys got serious in boxing after you started?
The first gym I took him to was, I think at the time, Charles Hatley, his grandfather running the gym. And, I walked in the gym and I looked it over and I was there for maybe about 15 minutes. I didn't see anybody doing anything too much. And I see kids running around. I don't see nobody hitting the bags and no coaches. So I told him, I think I was talking to his uncle, I believe, or his brother at the time. I was like, "Man, you know what, I'll come back tomorrow." The following day, I took him to another gym. And that gym was run by a Mexican guy named, it was Vivero boxing gym. And that guy, man, he was no nonsense. He was strict. He was a disciplinarian. He was no nonsense, and he brought him in and just teaching the basics, and he was with that guy for about 3.5 years. And then after that, I looked at him. He wasn't progressing. He wasn't learning too much. You know what I mean? So, in the meantime, I was talking to Derek. I see Derek at tournaments. I talked to Derek, and I like what he was saying, so I convinced EJ to go work with Derek.
Okay, how old was EJ when he started? You can't call him EJ, man. I'm still calling him Errol.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's crazy, man. But how old was he when he first went to Derek James?
He started when he was like 15. He went to Derek when he was about 18 and a half, somewhere in there.
Okay, and how long was that before he went to the Olympics?
I think he went to the Olympics. I think he was 21.
Okay, so 2 years later, after Derek James, he made it to the Olympics.
He made it to the Olympics.
Was he?
But
now,
but
go
the
ahead.
thing is, he was good from day one, man. Because he started in the gym, like you said, there was a lot of Mexicans in there. A lot of them guys that were a lot better than he was, and but he never quit. He hung in there. I think it was like 4 weeks into boxing. We went to a tournament in Dallas, Silver Glove. He won that tournament. The next tournament was in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I asked his coach, "You gonna take him there?" He was 4 weeks in the boxing. His coach was like, "I'm not going." I looked at EJ, like, "You wanna go?" EJ like, "Yeah, possibly." So, went. I found somebody to work his corner. So at that time, I didn't have a coaching pass where I could, be in the ring. I could be outside the ring, but I could not be in the ring. We found a guy to work his corner, and he won his first fight. He was one fight away from a national tournament, 4 weeks into boxing. And the kid that beat him at that tournament, I think he was ranked like number 2 in the nation at the time. And after the fight, the kid walked up to him and was like, man, this son is good, man. He's good. So, he was tough. He was good from day one.
Wow, man. So you saying like 4 weeks into boxing, he was that close to winning you said that was that close to winning a national tournament?
Yeah, he was one fight away from a national tournament, from entering into a national tournament.
4 weeks into fighting?
Yeah.
Man, that's gifted. What do you think? Yeah. Now, I know he's your son, right? But when you can accomplish something like that, you can't just say, that's just his daddy thinking that, obviously. And we see how he panned out. So, obviously, what do you think about, what was it about Errol? Because that's kind of, along with the question of, him coming from a middle class family. I think that's the right way to characterize your family. And by the way, just so you know, I'm going to have the graphics of you, your wife, and your son all together. That's the only family picture I could find.
Okay.
But what do you think about, what was it about Errol, or what at that coming from a middle class home that would allow him, to have the mental fortitude to get in there and fight like that? What's the motivation, do you think, behind that?
Well, there's only one thing that comes to mind. EJ don't care about winning. He just hates losing. So, that's what really, I think, that's what keeps him up at night. That's what drives him. That's what makes him work so hard. It's the thought of losing. He even as a child, if you were playing checkers with him or any card game and he figured he can't beat you, he'll turn over the board or he'll walk away or he's gonna play you until he wins. That's he's that type of kid.
Wow. So after you won, now when did you know that he was somebody that could be a professional fighter? What point in time in this amateur career where you guys were like, oh yeah, this is the route for Errol Spence Jr. or EJ? Me personally, I never looked too far into the future. We were just like, as an amateur, we would take it 1 week at a time. Whatever tournament coming up, that's the tournament we focus on. You know what I mean? So, if it was Dallas Golden Gloves, okay. Then state, we focus on that. Then national, we focus on that. And then, Olympics, we focus on making the Olympic trials. And, I went to, when he went to Azerbaijan to qualify for the Olympics, I flew over there, me and, as a matter of fact, me and Kenny, man, we were sitting in the bleachers side by side, watching EJ qualify for the Olympics. I was there with him. So we never looked too far ahead, till after the Olympics. That's when I said, okay, now it's the next level. We got to find you someone that's, honest, straight up, gonna take care of you. You know what I mean?
you deserve to be taken care of. You need the best. And after the Olympics, I sat down with him, and Al was at the time still is the best person.
So when you guys are out, was he recruited by other, like you said? So you were talking about Al. After you turned pro, you sat down with Al Heyman, and you decided to sign with Al Heyman. Were there other people that were making, counter offers or also trying to get Errol out when he came out of the Olympics? Because I hear about Top Rank wanting to have sign him and all that. Was there a lot of people trying to sign him?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we I forgot who was fighting in San Antonio. We went down there. Top Rank invited us down there. We went down there. We watched the fights. And matter of fact, Bob Arum, he invited EJ up on the stage. He said something, and he talked about him. About how good he is, and he's the future. So we man, there were guys that were making crazy offers, but you have to I don't know, it's a gut feeling. You have to go with that gut feeling, because a lot of times it's not about the signing money. It's about who's going to do the right thing.
Yeah, man, that sounds like real good advice. So now Kenny. So Kenny Porter, you guys were in. You said Azerbaijan. Is that I'm probably not saying the name right? Before the Olympic trials, and you flew. And now is that the tournament where Kenny was saying how he traveled overseas with Errol in the lead up to this fight? He's been talking about that. Is that the tournament you're talking about?
Yes, that's the last time he worked with EJ.
Now, how extensively did he work with EJ?
There was a lot of coaches there, and like I told you, Kenny and I, we were sitting in the bleachers watching EJ fight. So what Kenny would do is he would prepare for the fight that's coming up the next day. So I guess he would work with them on the mitts a little bit, or you would talk to the guys. He was more like an assistant. He wasn't there was a lot of coaches there. There's probably 4 guys, I think.
Okay. Now, when he turned pro, what was it like? Oh, first of all, let me ask you a question. Now, when you were getting around, who paid for? How could he afford to get around to the different tournaments and things like that? That seems like that in order to go to these national tournaments and like that, there's a financial burden on that, right? So you carried that exclusively?
Yes, I did. I did, of course, because leading up, because I knew the politics of boxing. I know the dirty side of boxing. I might not be personally involved with it, but I know about it. So I would sponsor all his trips. I would for a national tournament, I would fly into Colorado Springs a week early. I would put him up in a hotel, give him a rental car, so he can get, because it's a different altitude.
Right.
Yeah. So he would have to get used to the altitude. So I would send him up there a week early, and so he can get used to the altitude. Pay for his rental car, pay for the flight. Hey man, that's my son, man. He's my only child, so that's what I do, man. I mean, you have to support your kids, man.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful, and that really does help when he doesn't have to rely on other people that might want something back in return from that. I mean, that seems like a nice protector, a nice buffer that you have around. Because I'll tell you, when I met your son, the thing that really stood out to me was, and I just get up, and I've made this statement on live streams that the last time that I saw you, something that really impressed me about your son was that, he was tired working out, doing his thing. And then you walked me up to him to say, just to greet him as I was leaving. And then I walked out of the room, and then he called to me and said, "Oh, hey, by the way, I hear it's raining outside. Really be careful. Make sure you're real careful on your way home." And I just thought to myself, man, this kid is, in a lot of ways, he's the center of if he ain't in the center of the boxing world, he is, you know, one of the biggest and up and coming stars in the sport of boxing. And for him to just kind of in the middle of being tired and all that to say that and show that he was concerned enough and cognizant enough of other people's situation, just showed that, to me, it showed that he was raised right. And I'm sure it was his mama that did it and not you, just so you know. I'm sure that was his mama. But man, it really was. It's good. Now look, man. Go ahead.
No, you're right. No, you're right, because she gave him more whoopings than I did.
Oh.
You know, so.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. So let me ask you a question. A big fight. Now, I had known who Errol Spence was, who EJ was, you know, from the rumors, right? The Mayweather sparring rumors. And I'm not going to ask you about any sparring type of stuff. But, you know, after the rumors that you don't have to confirm or deny about him sparring Floyd, after that came out, did you start noticing that his name was really spreading around on that? Or when did you really get the sense that Errol was becoming and now that he was professional, when did you really get the sense that he was becoming this big star and this real big thing in the boxing world?
Well, working with Floyd, that was great, man. You know, I noticed that once he got back from Vegas, he had a little bit more, prep in his step. You know what I'm saying? You know, but yeah, that was a good confidence booster. You know, to get out there and work with him. And the thing, you know, before he went out there, man, I told him, I said, man, approach it sparring like it's a real fight. Make sure you get plenty of sleep. And one thing, you don't back down for him, because you know you gotta get his respect. Make sure you get his respect. You know, don't take no shit from the dude. And I think that was good advice.
Yeah, it blew him up, man, because people are like, what was that all about? You know? So
yeah. Kell
Brook. Now, when he really just lit off. Now, I saw he fought on NBC against Leonard Bundu, I do believe, or it's NBC or CBS, and he laid out Leonard Bundu. But then there was a large period of time when it didn't seem like anybody was fighting Errol. Like Keith Thurman said that he wasn't looking at him. Danny Garcia said what he said. Are you guys ever nervous that you weren't going to able to break through because the guys with the belts didn't seem like they wanted to take a risk against, you know, a dynamic southpaw killer in your son?
No, because you have to trust your advisor, you know, Mr. Ali. You know, you have to trust him, man, because you know. Like he always said, there's a time for everything. You know, there's a story he used to tell us all the time. You know, but you know, I had trust in him, and I knew, you know, at the right time, you know, he would get the fights, and because it's not, you know, it's a prize fight. You know, you can't just get in there and fight for, you know, for chump change. You know, it's, you're putting your life on the line, man. You know, you have to get paid. So, you know, timing is everything.
Fair enough.
You know,
now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know the audience want to see fights, but you know, these guys, you have to realize their career is very short, maybe 10 years. So, you know, they have to get it while they can.
Fair enough, man. Now going over to, tell me about the Kell Brook fight. What was that? Yeah. What was that like going over there for your first championship, first shot at the championship? You had to go over to the UK. I'm sure you were getting called all kind of names. Just tell me about the environment leading up to the Kell Brook fight, and you know what you felt about that experience fighting for a championship for the first time.
Well, with EJ, EJ is an Olympian, so he's used to that kind of environment. Because like when I was in Azerbaijan with him, it was almost the same kind of environment. there was like no one like Americans. When American fighters come out, even as amateurs, everyone's booing. They're against them for some, because of politics. So he was used to that. So, leading up to the fight, it was just, maybe just a little bit more intense. But, being an Olympian, he's used to that type of environment.
Wow. Okay, so now we have a fight we got a fight this weekend. Just how did you guys feel about training camp? What thoughts do you have on what thoughts do you have on the fight? And I don't want to ask you questions that are too direct. You guys excited about the fight? Anxious about the fight? What are your thoughts about this weekend and what we should look for this weekend?
Man, you can ask me any question, man. My name is Errol Spence Sr. And whosoever don't like it, that's their business.
Hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, all right. So I asked you then. So, man, Sean Porter's daddy and them say that Errol Spence is arrogant and he's going to slip. What's your thoughts on them saying that that your son is getting arrogant?
He said what?
He said that he thought that your son was getting a big head, getting arrogant, right? Because and that he's going to wind up. That he's going to realize at some point in the fight that he's going to lose.
Hey, listen, Sean Porter's good, but EJ, he's special, man. He's a special man. You haven't seen the best of this kid yet. Wait till a couple of years from now, you're gonna be like, wow, amazed. He's not only going to unify at 147, he's going to unify at 54 and maybe
60?
even 60.
54. I'm sorry.
54. Yeah. And maybe even 60. One thing about EJ is he loves the challenge. And he set the bar high for this fight because he loves the challenge. And he loves challenging himself. So, setting the bar high, it's perfect for him.
That's what's up. So you're saying he's so. Look, now what about this stuff with Terrence? What about this stuff with Terrence Crawford? Because my channel, we got a whole lot of Terrence Crawford fans, and they have this idea that Errol Spence really don't want to fight Terrence Crawford.
Man, EJ gonna beat that dude up, man. You hear me? I'm telling you loud and clear. He's just gonna beat him up. He's gonna do him worse than he did Mikey Garcia.
He's gonna do Terrence Crawford worse than he did Mikey Garcia.
He's gonna do Terrence Crawford worse than he do Mikey Garcia. And I would predict that he's gonna do Terrence worse than what he's gonna do to Sean. But I haven't seen the results yet, so I can't say that. But he's gonna beat Terrence. He's just gonna beat him up. He's gonna beat him up. Trust me. He's gonna put hands on that guy, man.
Yes. So you think the fight's gonna happen, and your son is looking forward to it? No, there ain't no other side of the street stuff. What about the other side of the street stuff? You think that the PBC is gonna actually make the fight with Terrence?
If EJ wants to fight, he wants that fight, so they're gonna make it.
So if Errol Spence, if your son wants to fight, they're gonna make it. It's nothing where Al Heyman or the PBC gonna try to block and keep that fight from happening.
I don't see why they should.
Fair enough.
I mean,
now, what about?
I don't care.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't see where they're gonna block the fight. I mean, he has a belt, right?
Yeah, he's got the WBO.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
And he wants to unify, right?
He wants to. That's what you're telling me. He wants to unify. Or you talking about Terrence Crawford?
Well, it's gonna happen.
Well, there you go. There you go. Now, what about look? What about the cash? What about the guy that is considered the money man? And Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was in. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think Manny Pacquiao wants to fight your son? Because I remember Manny Pacquiao getting in the ring with EJ and him saying, let's fight. Manny Pacquiao saying, why not? And then the fight didn't happen. Do you think Manny Pacquiao, if when your son beats Sean Porter, I'm positive energy with you, and and the next fight, do you think it's gonna be Manny Pacquiao? You think Manny Pacquiao actually wants to fight your son?
Well, I don't know what's in Manny Pacquiao's head. I can't tell you if he wants to fight him or not. But it would be a great fight. It would be a very, very, very big. It would be a great, great, great fight. And to me, it'll be a great way to go out. Go out with a bang, fight the best.
So when you say go out with a bang, you talking about Manny, right? Because Errol's young in his career. You just saying let Manny go out with a bang.
Nah, man. So there's only one person that's going out.
No. You know what I mean? Like go out, like his career ends, getting banged. No, I'm just messing. Like he gonna get whooped. I'm just I wasn't clear enough on that. But yeah, man, I was just joking with you.
Yeah.
But I certainly hope he gets that fight. All jokes aside, man. I certainly hope that Errol gets that fight with Manny Pacquiao. I just don't know whether or not Manny Pacquiao is really going to want to get beat up like that. I mean, it's a southpaw matchup, and Manny's getting a little older, and I don't think that there's any point in time in Manny's career that he would have wanted to fight somebody like Errol Spence. Now, there's been conversations about Canelo Alvarez, where Canelo Alvarez and Oscar De La Hoya not too long ago were mentioning your son's name. And I know, what are your thoughts on, is that something you think that those guys were serious about, where they just kind of clout chasing on Errol? Or, what's your thoughts on the Canelo situation? Because Canelo seems like at the end of it, that's the monster fight. Well, Manny Pacquiao too, but what are your thoughts on that?
That would be a good fight. That would be a great fight. As a matter of fact, they are the same age, so I can see it's going to happen. Canelo and EJ, they are the same age. They're 29. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're on a collision course, man. I can see that.
Okay, we'll see that. Now let's transition to the last part of this, man. Like, with your son and your team, like with yourself, first of all, when your son is 29, say he picks up boxing, goes till he's 35, 36, right? Hopefully, he doesn't have to fight till he's 45, right? Do you guys see yourselves, you have man down promotions. Do you see yourself, promoting other fighters, doing like Mayweather did and Oscar De La Hoya did, and like focusing heavily on promotion or continuing to work in the sport of boxing?
I see. I see my son being more successful after boxing than he is as a boxer. There's so many things going through my head right now, man. But I have to let him focus on boxing. But I can see him being, because the thing about EJ is he's a very smart kid. He's very aware. He's very in tune. He's gonna be a great businessman because he's good with money. Ask his friends about him, man. He's very, very, very good with money. He doesn't waste money, and he pay attention. So he's gonna do pretty good after boxing. And as far as promoting other fighters, yeah, I can see him doing that because he's already doing that right now. So.
Okay, so he is promoting other fighters. He's got other fighters signed up to man down.
Right.
Good deal. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add at the end of this, man? I really, I think the world of you, man. I'm extremely impressed with your son, with you as a father. Well, let me ask you this question, man. You typically don't come out and talk a lot, man. You know, like, what's your role on? What do you see your role on your son's team being? What's your main role on that team?
Well, I don't talk a lot because from the start, to me, it's important that EJ be out front. You know, he's a smart kid. He's outgoing. You know, I'm not into too much of that public speaking, and I rather convey my thoughts to my son instead of broadcasting it to the whole world. So, but I'm gonna have to start speaking up more. He's good at what he does. You know, he's a very smart kid. So I have no problem with him, speaking up or taking the lead. True leaders lead from behind.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I don't want to take too much more of your time. I'm looking forward to the fight. I'm buying the pay-per-view. I got my own little future basketball player in the house, so I can't make it up to California, man. Please be safe, fly safe, enjoy. I hope everybody comes out safe, healthy, wealthy, and wise. You know what I mean? But thank you so much for coming to the channel. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion? You mentioned your son playing basketball, playing sports before. The thing is, the secret is to make him like what he's doing. That's the secret. You have to make them love what they're doing. Once they love what they're doing, they'll be better at it. They want to go to training. So if you have to take him to somewhere like to dinner after he work out or on Sundays, another thing, man, don't let nothing get between you and your kid, man. Not fame, not money, not women, nothing. I see a lot of these fathers in sports and the way they're acting with their kids. It's how could you treat your because of what? Because of money and fame? Hell no, I could not do that. Wow,
I could not do that. I would rather not being in the sports than treat my child the way some of these guys are. And it's not even necessary. If you use reverse psychology on them from an early age or while they're into sports, you can make them do pretty much anything you want.
Yeah, without being abusive to them, and because
exactly.
I notice I see how you are with your son, and you're very calm, and I think that's a testament to you, man, and your personality. Because that's just, some people just have a lot of trauma in their lives, man. It just doesn't, from my sense of you, is that you just seem to be a very even-keeled person, confident. Even you're not somebody's gonna roll over, but a pretty even-keeled guy. That's my observation of you, man. And I do, just so you know, you gave me that. If this is not the first time that you gave me that personal advice, and I apologize for not putting that question in and asking it earlier, because I think that's valuable, man. Like, what advice you would give to somebody that was trying to do with their son what you're doing, what you have done with your son, because your son he's a world champion, and has defended his title multiple times. He's an Olympian. Man, just outstanding job. Besides what you just said, is there any other things you think that parents should think about before they get their children into boxing specifically?
Boxing, you can't choose boxing, man. Boxing has to choose you. So, you can get them into boxing, but if they're not into it, man, just get them out of that sport, because it's a tough sport. It's a rough sport. Like my son, people might say, well, okay, do this, do that, but take this into consideration, right? You have to try to make weight. So whatever you're eating right now, you have to cut it down. 75, you have to cut it down to 25%. What's the normal intake? cut that down to 25%, and then try to put out more energy, more everything. So you're cutting your food down, and you're putting out twice as much effort every day. That's what boxing is, and it's a tough sport, man. You have to be born with a certain drive, certain built. To be honest with you, I don't even know how to describe it, man. It's amazing, and being on the forefront and watching this kid day in and day out from sometimes 11 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? It's sometimes I would go to I try to keep up, but I would go to bed like 1 o'clock. When I hear something downstairs and I peep downstairs and he's downstairs, man. He's doing crunches. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. He's doing sit-ups. Sometimes I go to bed and I hear a noise in the garage and he's in the garage hitting the bag some more. It's amazing. It's a crazy drive. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know where he get it from, but it's unbelievable, man. And like I always told him, man. I don't ask him for anything. I just appreciate the ride, man, because it's been a remarkable, amazing, wonderful lifetime ride, and I appreciate it, man. And hopefully he'll get out of this thing pretty soon and live a normal life. Get in the same way he got out of it, because that's all I want, man. I just want to see him get out of it the same way he get into it.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, my brother, man. I really appreciate you. And welcome back to the channel anytime, man. Now that you came on once, I'm going to try to get you on twice. Thank you, sir.
Hey, this is my first interview. I hope I did good, man.
Appreciate you, excellent, man. It's a lot of fun, man. You were just, hey, man, seriously, you're from the heart. You a real legitimate cat, man. Really and truly, man. You were straight up and down 100 type of cat.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll get back.